Welcome back to my channel, guys. Glad you joined me today for this topic. Today, we're delving into the fascinating world of verbal communication and its two primary forms, oral and written communication. This is fifth video in the row. Have you ever wondered when it's best to have a face-to-face chat or send a carefully crafted email? Stick around as we break it all down for you. The end of this video, you'll be a pro at knowing when to speak and when to write. Let's get started. When we use words to convey our message, it could be face-to-face conversations, phone calls, or even video chats. Imagine chatting with friends, participating in a group discussion, or giving a presentation at school or work. These are all examples of verbal communication. Verbal communication is the act of conveying information, thoughts, ideas, and emotions through spoken words and language. It is a fundamental form of human interaction that involves using spoken language to communicate with others. Verbal communication can take place in various settings, such as face-to-face conversations, phone calls, public speeches, interviews, and more. And it plays a central role in interpersonal relationships, education, business, and everyday social interactions. Let's understand components of verbal communication. First is words. Verbal communication relies on the use of words to convey messages. For example, saying "I love you" expresses affection. Second is tone of voice. The tone can change the meaning of a sentence. Saying "that's great" with enthusiasm or sarcasm conveys different emotions. Third is nonverbal cues. When someone says they're fine with a forced smile and crossed arms, their nonverbal cues indicate they may not be truly fine. Now, two types of verbal communication are oral and written. First is oral communication. Definition: oral communication involves the use of spoken language and verbal cues to convey messages between individuals or groups. Characteristics of oral communication. First is immediate. It provides real-time interaction and immediate feedback. Second is tone and inflection. Tone of voice, pitch, and inflection can greatly impact the message's meaning. Third is nonverbal cues. Facial expressions, gestures, and body language often accompany spoken words. Examples of oral communication: a teacher explaining a complex concept to students during a classroom lecture, or a customer service representative assisting a customer over the phone. Advantages of oral communication. First is speed and immediacy. Oral communication is usually faster and more immediate than written communication, making it ideal for real-time conversations and quick exchanges of information. Second is clarity through tone and emotion. The tone of voice, pitch, and intonation allow for emotional expression and can enhance the clarity of the message by conveying emotions and intentions. Third is immediate feedback. In face-to-face or live conversations, you can receive instant feedback from the listener, which helps in clarifying misunderstandings or confirming understanding. Fourth is flexibility. Oral communication allows for spontaneous discussions, brainstorming, and interactive problem-solving. Now we have disadvantages of oral communication. First is lack of documentation. Unlike written communication, oral communication isn't typically recorded, making it challenging to reference details or agreements later. Second is misinterpretation. Verbal communication can be prone to misinterpretation due to differences in tone, body language, and context, leading to misunderstandings. Third is limited reach. Oral communication is limited to the people physically present or reachable by phone or video call, making it less suitable for wide distribution. Fourth is forgetfulness. People may forget verbal information if not reinforced in writing, potentially leading to memory lapses. Second type of communication is written communication. Definition: written communication relies on written or typed words to convey information and is often used for formal, documented communication. Characteristics of written communication. First, permanent record. Written documents create a lasting record that can be referenced later. Second, clarity and precision. Careful wording is essential to avoid misinterpretation. Third, less immediate. Responses may not be instant as in oral communication. Examples of written communication: sending a formal job offer letter to a candidate or writing a detailed project report for stakeholders. Now we have advantages of written communication. First is permanent record. Written communication provides a documented record of information, making it suitable for legal agreements, formal documentation, and reference purposes. Clarity and precision. Writers have time to carefully craft their message, ensuring clarity, accuracy, and precision. Third, wide distribution. Written documents can be easily distributed to a large audience through various channels, such as email, printed materials, or online platforms. Fourth is time-shifted communication. Written messages can be read and responded to at the recipient's convenience, allowing for flexibility in communication. Disadvantages of written communication. First is lack of emotion. Written communication lacks the emotional cues and nonverbal signals present in oral communication, potentially leading to a loss of context or misunderstandings. Second is time-consuming. Composing, editing, and reading written messages can be more time-consuming than having a verbal conversation, especially for complex information. Third is limited feedback. Written communication may not provide immediate feedback, making it less suitable for interactive discussions or urgent matters. Fourth is language barriers. In a global context, written communication may face language barriers and translation challenges. Let's use real company examples to illustrate the concepts of both oral and written communication. Oral communication. Apple Inc. Example: Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, conducts keynote presentations to unveil new products like iPhones and MacBooks. During these events, he uses oral communication to explain product features, innovations, and the company's vision. Written communication. Google. Example: Google sends out written communication in the form of press releases to announce important news and updates. For instance, they might issue a press release to inform the public about a new acquisition, product launch, or corporate milestone. Now let's dive into channels of verbal communication. First, face-to-face. In-person communication allows for rich verbal and nonverbal cues. Example: during a negotiation, face-to-face communication allows for direct interaction. Second, telephone. Verbal communication over the phone relies solely on words and tone of voice. Example: when scheduling a meeting over the phone, verbal communication is essential. Third, video calls. Like face-to-face, but through technology, allowing visual cues. Example: during remote work, video calls enable verbal and visual communication simultaneously. Fourth, radio, podcasts, and audio messages. Verbal communication through audio-only mediums. Let's take example of speeches and presentations. A TED Talk is an example of verbal communication to educate and inspire an audience. Now, we have importance of verbal communication. First, expressing ideas. Verbal communication is essential for sharing thoughts, opinions, and information. Example: presenting a business proposal verbally conveys your vision clearly. Second, building relationships. Effective verbal communication is crucial for forming and maintaining relationships, both personal and professional. Example: telling a friend about your day strengthens your personal bond. Third is problem solving. It aids in discussing issues, finding solutions, and making decisions. Example: discussing project challenges with a team helps find solutions. Fourth is conveying emotions. Verbal communication allows individuals to express their feelings and emotions. Example: saying "I'm sorry" verbally expresses remorse. Now, barriers to effective verbal communication. First, we have language differences. Different languages or dialects can lead to misunderstandings. Example: misunderstandings may arise if people speak different languages. For example, gift in English means present, but gift in German means poison. Second, we have noise and distractions. External factors can interfere with the clarity of the message. Example: in a noisy cafe, it's challenging to have a focused conversation. Third, we have lack of clarity. Inadequate word choice or unclear expression can hinder communication. Example: If a technical expert uses jargon with a non-technical audience, clarity is lost. Fourth, we have emotional barriers. Strong emotions can disrupt effective communication. Example: when someone is angry, it can be hard to express thoughts calmly and clearly. Now, how to improve verbal communication? First, active listening. Paying close attention to the speaker and asking clarifying questions. Example: when a friend shares their problems, actively listening and saying, "I understand," shows empathy. Second, effective speaking skills. Clear articulation, appropriate tone, and concise expression. Example: during a job interview, using clear and concise language highlights your qualifications. Third, empathy. Understanding and acknowledging the emotions of the speaker. Example: when a colleague is upset, saying, "I can see that this situation is frustrating for you," demonstrates understanding. Fourth, feedback. Providing constructive feedback to ensure mutual understanding. Example: after a presentation, asking for feedback helps improve future communication. Next, we have cultural considerations. Cultural norms and practices can significantly impact verbal communication, including language choice, formality, and nonverbal cues. Example: in Japan, bowing is a nonverbal cue that shows respect and gratitude. In some cultures, addressing someone by their title and last name, for example, Mr. Smith, is a sign of formality and respect. So, when to use oral or written communication? We use oral communication for real-time discussions, interactive meetings, or when building rapport and relationships. On the other hand, choose written communication for documentation, when you need a clear paper trail, or when sending information that requires careful consideration. Which form of verbal communication is right for you? It depends on the context. In a nutshell, verbal communication, whether oral or written, is essential for effective human interaction. Knowing when to speak and when to write can make you a more effective communicator in both your personal and professional life. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more insightful content. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or want to share your thoughts on this topic, please leave a comment below. We'll meet in the other related videos. Until next time, happy communicating.